All right. Welcome, Carl.
Hi.
Good to have you here. Welcome to a new case study with Comics.io and Smart City System. Together with me here is Carl, the head of business development at Smart City System. Smart City System is a technology, but also solutions provider in the parking optimization space. It's a very, very interesting niche. And Carl started with us over the course of 2020 in this very challenging year, and basically went, through the whole journey from like doing network sales, doing fairs beforehand, like very hardly to visualize, very hardly to control sales, to now constant lead inflow and even a new offer that you discovered, heading in completely new markets, which happened in a quite lean way. So I'm curious to hear about this story. Welcome, Carl. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you for your time. And yeah, I'm happy to tell you about our story actually. It was a huge success actually. We have a test phase for 6 months and the test phase was really good.
How can you explain, before we go into all of those areas,
Yeah.
can you explain what Smart City System normally does and what you normally were busy with on the commercial side, just that people get an idea, because it's very
Yeah.
specific in your case.
So what we do is we digitize every parking space uh, on off-street and on-street parking. And with this data, with this real-time data, we can develop new business cases like renting out parking spaces to external people and also do analysis how the parking space is actually used in the location. And with this business case, we have different kinds of customers, stakeholders who want to do different kind of things with their parking space. And so this was the point where we started from, where we are a young company. We have founded our company in 2017, and we have grown to 40 people organically, so with our own projects. And end of last year, we have hit some tipping point where we wanted to grow proactively with outbound. And it was a good timing when you guys reached out to us because at this point we wanted to build our sales pipeline and our sales processes for outbound actually.
Right, got it. So can you explain to me like how you normally would acquire a customer? Because it sounds
Yeah.
quite complex. It sounds quite like multi-decision takers, sometimes even entities. So what were you normally busy with when you
Yeah.
when you got a deal done?
So before we started with outbound sales, it was really it was inbound. So the customers came to us via telephone or email, contacted us via our website and said, "Hey, we are right now thinking about parking operations, parking management. So what can you do? What can you guys do for us?" And this was our sales approach. We didn't have the urge to make outbound sales because we had enough leads with our small team to build on. And but then we realized, hey, there is much more opportunity. So let's build a team. Let's build a sales team actually, and go actively into the market. And with with you guys, we realized we don't need actually a big team, a big sales team, because a lot of steps we can do automatically with an intelligent system and an intelligent process. So right now, what we are doing is, I would say, like yeah, like 60-70% of our leads are actually outbound leads and not inbound leads. And I would say this number will grow up in the next few months.
Right, got it. I mean, we hear this quite often, right? So when you start out, it was the same for us at some point, right? So you start with network sales, people know from you, you do a good
Yeah.
job, then the next person arrives. And the issue is this is okay until some point, right? And then at some point, like you just can't grow any further just
Yes.
based on that, right? Did you guys do anything proactively beforehand, or was comics the first time you went out on your own?
It was actually our first time we went out. We did actually write like cold calling to some prospects where we thought here in the region in Nuremberg where we are located, to talk about to make discovery calls actually. That worked out, but that was not a huge number to make a really to fill the sales pipeline actually. And but with you guys, it was the first time we made an outbound sales process because we didn't have a process actually. I am actually a learned mechanical engineer.
Right.
I am not, and I didn't have many experience in sales, so it was really the most of the things I learned myself with try and error. And here with the outbound sales, it was the first time we had a clear process for the team, a clear qualification process, like a clear qualification script, and this was a huge leverage to our process and to our actually lead qualification, I would say.
Right, got it. So you mentioned like when you have nothing in place like this, right? Because it's not only lead generation, it's also what do you do when those leads are coming in? How do you treat them and how do you make the most out of everything? Can you describe how you tackle this, especially because your solution is super technical, right? You need to qualify well, right? So can you explain how you've been using this and what came out of that?
Yeah, actually, in the beginning, when leads came, when inbound leads came to us and asked for our system, they had normally a basic knowledge about sensor technology, about digitization, and it was not that much of I would say of a challenge to show them our value because they already knew, hey, they are guys, they are really growing fast and they do their jobs actually right. And but when you do an outbound sales process, the communication is different
Right.
with the prospect. And this was the first thing we learned really fast. And actually also with the sparring with you guys, with Christoph, for example, and we learned a lot of things actually also from the sources you gave us. We could derive our own qualification script to focus on the values we actually provide to the lead. And because with the outbound sales, you actually mentioned it before, we reached out to markets. We didn't know that there was actually opportunities, and
right.
but there are another kinds of keywords and values. We didn't know that with our system there is something, and so this was the thing which was really which was a really insight in our whole communication.
Right. I mean, that's what you hear a lot, right? So what we see a lot is like, you get a little bit, pampered almost from the market if you're good enough in engineering and like you do a good job and you get all those inbound leads, right? And you think like, oh yeah, no, everybody must react the same way to our offering. And then you go out, like ice cold prospects, like harsh waters. People have never heard from you, like right? And you probably get slapped around and wonder why is that, right?
Yeah.
And until you realize, oh, they actually are looking for something different, right? And that it requires, like, kudos to you, it requires some openness to let that sink in. So what were the main learnings where you said like, oh, that's new? How did you find out about that? Like, how did you hear that out?
Actually, when we developed our qualification script, actually, because we didn't have before we didn't have a qualification script. We were like chatting with the customer, and we have some basic questions like, what are your problems, and how could we help you to get the solution actually work for you. These are basic things you can do, but the main thing is that actually to get to the core of the problem and to get actually I would say the basic value for a customer, because we have customer, they are they're corporate customers, they are supermarkets, retail, there are real estates, universities, cities, and every kind of market has a different kind of value proposition. But the first thing they want to do is actually only, I want to know what's going on my parking space. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that they want to do more. and you have to find out what they want to do. And this step we didn't do actually in the beginning.
Right.
It was enough to get to build the sensors, to get the sensor on the street, and to give them the data to show them, hey, yeah, your parking space is frequently occupied from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. like that. But the whole business case, what is on top of that, they wanted to go there to this point, and we actually realized during these the huge number of outbound qualification calls,
Right.
that we had to actively go to this point with the lead before they buy even, because then there is an upselling opportunity, which is much has much more potential than in our process before.
Right, because you always, with this offer you just mentioned, just like, okay, we can analyze the activity on your parking spot. There might be some segments of the market which say like, I'm totally interested in that. And others are maybe just too busy, or like it's not as relevant, or they don't see the ROI, because it's kind of a nice to have thing unless people really want it, right? Yeah. But if you find something on top of that that maybe generates revenue, or like solves a huge pain, then all of a sudden the whole dynamic changes, I can imagine, right? Like okay, got it. And also, you found that out via outbound.
Yeah, also the exercise you do in the beginning with us, or what you did in the beginning with us, with your platform, where you ask really good questions about what is your value proposition, who is your actual customer or persona, the ideal customer profile. Right. And these kind of questions helped us to actually focus on the prospect, and also not only to build a good qualification script, but also to build better landing pages,
right?
Better wording in the marketing, and so also the inbound leads are now better in the quality, better than before.
Oh, okay. So outbound has kind of led to an increase in better. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's some people, because like I'm a huge outbound fan as well. I come from the advertising side, right? And you always have this fight between like what's better, inbound and outbound. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just both, right? You have to do it all.
Yeah. Right. So it's for me, it's perfect because we are young guys in a startup. We are all engineers, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and we didn't have that much experience with outbound sales, something like that. I've already built a startup with some of the founders here. We were really successful. It was an engineering bureau, 2013, 14. And it was really good but it was all built on inbound, but not actively on outbound. And we now realized how much leverage you get when you do this outbound right with a focus.
Got it. Cool. Let's just collect this for a second, because you touched upon a couple of things that you had to put in some work for sure, right? And like, it's actually, I think I'm an engineer too. I did mechanical engineering, right? So like we see a lot that our stuff resonates with engineering folks, and the design, how we do it. But could you maybe just describe, how would you describe the collaboration with comics? How was the onboarding for you? Like, what were you busy with? And how did it go?
So, in my opinion, the best thing was actually your qualification with us. When you reached out, I think it was Levin who reached out to us.
Right.
His qualification was really good because the questions he asked me, it was actually me he was talking to. It was a proof that you guys know what you are talking about in sales, because you actually sold me your product. So it's a proof for a sales product actually. And this was the first thing what was really good. But the onboarding process was actually even better because you didn't get lost touch with me. So Christoph or Levin, I think Niklas were also in the process.
Right.
I could reach out to one of these guys with any kind of question, and I would say in 2 hours or something like that, the response were in my mailbox inbox. So this was something like Yeah, they sold me something, some product, but they didn't let me go with alone with the product. And also the onboarding was something like, I would say, an education as educational stuff,
Right.
educational touch, I would say, because it was like, I am learning here something. It's not that you say this is the process, so go for it, but the kind of questions you asked in the onboarding, the process sheet you gave us, it was like step by step to implement the whole process in our own process, and to build our own process internally with our own team. And also the sources you gave us with the with your own qualification scripts and so on. It really helped us from the beginning to start with more founded or founded um, feeling,
Right.
that we are not going anywhere blindly, but it was really focused, and it is based on some knowledge.
Gotcha. Okay. If you had to pin one area down that got you or your organization the most value, where would that be? Like, where would you say that's the thing that really moved the needle for us?
Actually, the knowledge you gave us, the knowledge source, because this is the thing that lacked in our company, and the whole knowledge source you gave us was well, we learned in these 6 months more than the year before. And this is the needle which we said, okay, let's continue with this, because there is much more we can learn actually.
Right. I mean, I think like so. I mean, yeah, it was the same for me. Like once it makes click, how to build commercial operation,
Yeah,
and how to build products that actually people want based on the market, actually, not based on ideas
yeah,
only. Um, that's something that's hard to unsee, right? Like once it
yeah,
happens, it's like it changes.
yeah. It's not rocket science, but you actually have to get this mindset in
Right.
your head.
Got it. So, like going through this, like I'm very happy to hear this, and it's also your case was specifically interesting because we have it very rarely how quickly an established organization with like 40 to 50 people actually is willing to pivot based on market needs, right? Can
Yeah.
can you share a couple of the results over the first 6 months, just like in terms of
Hmm.
lead inflow, what have you done,
Hmm.
and like what were the main milestones for you guys?
Yeah. Actually, before we started the first campaign, we had some, yeah, lead generation was something like 2 to 3 leads per week,
Right.
not qualified, but in our lead pipeline. Um, it in the few weeks we started, it doubled, tripled this number easily. Um, I'm not sure how much leads we have actually right now. I don't have it in my head, but it's we have like right every 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 day we have a qualification call with some
Right.
leads. Of course, not every lead is a fit, because we now qualify really hard, because there are some customer who don't have the finance to get our product actually on the
Right.
street. And we now focus on the leads which are really interesting. Like one lead, for example, I can say that actually, because we already won that lead, is Deutsche Bahn, for
Right.
example. They have
Yeah.
huge parking spaces, and we got directly to the CEO from then. We had a qualification call, and he said, "Let's do it." And these kind of leads we want to have, and we can reach out with our own cold email approach, but with the knowledge we have right now, it's much more, the chances that this is much more, um, I would say, uh, successful
Right.
is even better. So right now the lead pipeline is really filled with leads, um, more than tripled actually, and also our closing opportunities are, I would say, like doubled actually
Wow. Okay. In only 6 months.
in only 6 months. Yes.
Right. So,
So it
so how
was,
much? Yeah.
yeah, Yeah, the first campaign is actually was a really broad approach. We didn't. It was on purpose. Actually, we identified a new market, the real estate market, and right now we want to start a third campaign with you guys, with the niche real estate. Actually, we are already doing the second campaign for actually parking operators, parking management, and we are hoping that this focused approach will also leverage the numbers of leads in our pipeline. So this was the third the third win point, I would say, with this campaign, that we actually identified a market where we eventually didn't want to go actually, but
Got it.
there is something going on, and so we don't want to be out of the game in this kind of
Right, got
market.
it. So let me just summarize. So 6 months with us, you tripled the amount of just, basically relevant like conversations and leads in the pipeline.
Yeah.
You doubled the closing rate. And I'm just gonna let's just go into that deal that you made. So and you closed Deutsche Bahn, which
Yeah.
I don't know, like within those first 6 months, like we normally talk to people who have sales cycles of 3 years with those massive German corporates, right? So how, like, if you can share, how did you pull this off? How long was the closing cycle and why was it so relevant for them?
Yeah. So actually, our normal closing cycle is up to 1 year, I would say. So the fastest thing I would say, which we closed, was 2 months.
Right.
For a high ticket project, and this was so around about 6 months actually. 6 to
Right.
7 months was Deutsche Bahn, and how we did it. Actually, it was also a portion of the right timing, right approach with the content we put in the cold email, and also a little bit of luck, of course, because
Right.
the CEO there, it's not Deutsche Bahn directly, it's Deutsche Bahn Bahnpark, so
Right.
who are responsible for all the parking spaces from Deutsche Bahn, and he was like, he was open to this kind of the digitization topic, and he said we have to try something new out, and and we came with at the right time, and it was we had a few talks or a few rounds with Deutsche Bahnpark, because there was then the lead guy from the operations, and also technical guys to build the API and so on. We had some rounds with them, but it was like consultancy, and
Right.
we consulted them how they could use our solution to get their best results actually,
Right.
and what they want
Yeah.
to achieve in the next year. And this was our approach, and it actually went really good.
Right. Got it. So what would be the main learnings there, right? So we got number one, okay, going out fairly broad, taking that knowledge, sharpening the message, understanding really what drives value to get the first interest, right? Because nothing can be sold via cold outreach in one go, right? At least not in
Yeah.
our world, right? But you have to get the interest in order to get to that first meeting. And then if you actually design for the problems of the person, you have a very, very big likelihood, right, that this will go next round if you really
Yeah.
provide value.
Yeah, actually, I would also put one point ahead. It was actually going out in an outbound process, because if you didn't go out to Deutsche Bahn, we also wouldn't have the right timing. So
Right.
you never know when is the right timing. So when Deutsche Bahn was not wouldn't have replied now, perhaps in 1 year we also reached out to them, and perhaps in
Right.
1 year there would have been a fit. So actually going out and try to talk to the prospects is actually the first and I would say the most important step. And
Got it.
every other point will automatically also follow with this approach.
Right. So that's interesting, right? So you would probably say, like, instead of like breaking your head over new solutions, just go out, speak to the market, like,
Yeah, of
good
course,
happen, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Actually, in discovery calls, in the startup world, you actually do that, but
Right.
the mindset you do is a bit different. And in the outbound campaign, you have a mindset not only to discover the prospect, but also to actually, yeah, actually provide them a solution that they didn't know of. So
Yeah, right.
it's not about only selling. It's about to say, hey, here are some guys who can help you, and this is the message we want to provide to our prospects.
Got it. Can you elaborate? Let's just stick to results a little bit more, and then we just move on. So how many deals in total were there? Can you put a number on that? Like, is there maybe a revenue range you can share? Like, where are you at?
Revenue range is a bit difficult to say right now, but I would say we had with ComX, like, I would say with the first campaign where we had like 60 replies which were neutral and 10 was positive. But from the 60
Right.
Neutral, with the first contact and so on, they were right now at 30, 40 positive replies. We
Right.
changed it to positive replies, and with these 30 positive replies, we got actually like 15 deals right now, which
15
with
deals.
the
Wow.
amount of, yeah, I would say like 5 to 10K
Right.
actually over the 6 months right now. Yeah, and
Got it.
we have some, I would say, 10 to 15 leads we are actually talking right now, which are from the first campaign actually.
Got it. So a solid base, and then with a new offer, hopefully,
Yeah,
leading to more projects like getting
yeah,
bigger. Wow, that's super
because
impressive, guys. You must have been busy.
yeah, we are actually really busy. So the thing is that actually the first project we actually do with our prospects, they don't put, because it's hardware actually which are putting
Right.
on their buildings and on their site, and the real effect will be in the next few months in our customer success team, because
Right.
the upselling um, potential is much higher than the first project we do with the actual prospect right
Right.
now. Because
Right.
the first project with Deutsche Bahn or with other prospects, they are like 5 to 10K, of course, but the potential is 10 times higher.
Right.
The first, yeah, 1, 2 parking lots, yeah, it's interesting, of course, but they have 50, 100 parking lots which they want to digitize, and this potential we actually see.
But that's also really something to be learned there, right? Because what we really believe is that to be too greedy on the first offer postpones your decision cycles
Yeah,
for so long that eventually you lose it because you're losing control, right? If you
yeah,
stick to an offer that can people actually fairly quickly decide upon, because the risk of going into business with you is not that high. So you're taking care of those risk levers, right?
yeah,
That will set you up, because then actually a deal is not only revenue, a deal is an asset for the future, right? And you can then carry on. And
yeah.
I feel you guys executed on this extremely well. Like, that's
Yeah, I hope so.
crazy.
It's actually my team, not me. So they are doing really well. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So let's just talk about the investment, like for comics a little bit, because we
Hmm.
know, and we always get the question, like, because we're not the cheapest provider to be working with,
Hmm.
right? But if you take a look at just now general ROI, but also the investment it would have taken you going with alternatives, doing things on your own. Like, have you ever thought about like um, how much other resources you would have needed, or like, what the ROI of comics actually is
Yeah.
for you guys?
So actually, when we wanted to do the same stuff you did for us, actually, we would have, yeah, actually hired 1 to 2 full-time outbound salesperson, to build up the lead lists, to reach out to, and to actually make the whole process going in a good way. And and actually the amount of money you had to put into hiring someone, and also to learn, or to teach them the process, how to do that and so on, it's actually much higher than, yeah, like going out with an external outbound team like you actually Comex is actually like yeah, outbound sales team for us, and it's actually much cheaper than actually hiring 2 to 3 guys who are doing the outbound sales. So for us, the ROI was actually after, I would say, 1 to 2 months, it was done. So
Got it.
it was right now, I would say, of course, when we first talked, it seemed to be a lot of money, but actually our service for our customers also seems in the first beginning to be a lot of money. And
Right.
therefore we started with a 6 months trial with you for 6 months, where we said, okay, let's do it 6 months. And after, like I said, 2 months, it was clear that this works really good out.
All right. All right. Perfect. So what would you say? Because your situation is, of course, quite specific, but then because we get a lot of questions, of course, like, I cannot automate outbound. Our solutions are so unique, whereas you guys totally did it. Your solutions are super unique. You have different entities that buy that stuff for different reasons. So like, what do you think has to be in place from your perspective for companies which is in similar situations to you guys to make this work? What has to be there?
I would say it's always about the messaging. You are how you reach out to the outbound prospects, because we have a really complex product. It's based on hardware. We have software. We have also an API where we provide the data, where the partners or the customers can build their own applications on it, and also to understand what is parking data actually for me. What does it mean to have this real-time data? And also the installation process, how that functions, is not so easy to make it really clear. But I would say if you do the outbound, the outbound exercise in the beginning of the campaign, you will be focused on the main questions which are actually important for the prospect. And when you can answer these questions, the other questions are they will come up in the second, third telco or something like that.
Right.
And then you are in the consultancy phase, and you can provide, or you can build the trust as you are an expert in this field, and
Right.
the prospect is actually learning from you. And so therefore the key messages should be in the first outbound reach. And this has nothing to do with the complexity of your product, because in the outbound message, for our example, we don't talk about sensors or something like that. In our outbound message, it's about digitization and what you want to do with this, with the data. And this is something like, okay, yeah, I understand. I can do parking management, and yeah, I have to do it. I have this problem. Okay, let's talk. So this let's talk is the first step. It's not about, yeah, let's buy it. That's not the thing. The prospect came to us.
Yeah, right.
So
Pitch
every
the
complex
meeting,
product,
not the solution, right?
Yeah. So every complex product, it could be derived into three main keywords, and these keywords should be in the message to go out to the prospects.
Gotcha. Kyle, thank you so much for your time. Super crazy interesting case. We keep in touch, of course.
Yeah,
we see each other latest at the Traction Workshop calls. See you soon.
Thank you.